These are the first 5 episodes of the Weebstrong FIles. We're talking about Tougen Anki, Kaiju number 8, and more. Just use the timestamps down below if you want to skip around. So many fans were disappointed in Kaiju number 8's ending. Some people said it just fell off so hard. They felt super rushed. They felt like so many things were left uncovered. And honestly, coming from a day one fan, I get it. Back when Kaiju number 8 dropped in August 2020, I was so excited. I was reading it every week or whenever it came out because it was kind of cool to see a main character that was not some young kid, but an older dude who just kind of missed out on his prime and didn't live out the dream that he wanted to. So that in itself was enough for me to be interested and just kind of like it. And on top of that, the artwork was great. But now that it's all over, I gotta keep it real. I do feel like it fell short in a few places. I mean, the obvious one, pacing. The ending was just so rushed. And I'm pretty sure the mangaka got some news that, hey, dude, wrap it up. We gotta cancel this manga, or maybe not cancel it. But this thing gotta come to a close. Regardless of the reason though, man, it definitely felt like it was rushed. We were right at the point where I thought that the lore was getting super interesting. I thought that we could have branched off into multiple different arcs. Like, one thing I thought that we could have gone into was more so into the origins of the kaiju, or maybe even the kaiju society. I mean, were there any other intelligent kaiju other than kaiju number 9? That can't be the only one, right? I mean, you guys tell me, what did you want to see? A lot of people were saying that they actually wanted a different origin story for Kafka and Kafka's ability to become a hybrid kaiju, right? Some people wanted to go into a different direction where he wasn't the only person who could be a hybrid kaiju human. And honestly, I thought that could have been a pretty cool storyline, because then you could have an antagonist that was also a hybrid and you wouldn't know who it was. But we could talk about fan theories and things that we wanted to see all day. At the end of the day, I still think that the manga was still a real fun read. It just kind of sucks that the pacing at the end was just all over the place. The story was fast, but the arc was slow. The side characters, they low-key felt wasted. And it felt like we were just kind of cut short on the world building. The ending of this manga, I think everyone can say that it was pretty predictable and it was pretty safe. I almost wish that it just turned out to be super nasty, where just the kaiju actually won. But of course we're not going to get that. But even though it had a safe ending, it was still a fun ride. And I'd still consider myself a fan of the story. The world building just had so much potential that it just really sucks that it fell short. To me, this was like a 8 out of 10 manga, but because of the ending, I'd say it's probably closer to a 7 out of 10 for me. So now the question is, now that Kaiju number 8 is over, what are you guys reading? What are you picking up now, and what's filling that void? Tougen Anki is good, but it's just playing it way too safe, and that might be killing it. I started reading this thinking, alright, it could be one of those sleeper picks. You got bloodline powers, wars between races, a main character who actually likes firearms like me. Man, it sounded good, but you know, after the first few arcs, it started to feel familiar. Just a little bit too familiar. When we're talking about shonen, this thing really falls into shonen completely, and that's the problem. The problem is that shonen is so saturated right now that if you want to stick out, you gotta be different. In some way, somehow. Let's just look at Jujutsu Kaisen for a second. Now, as soon as I mentioned that name, I guarantee you started thinking about Gojo, right? Or am I wrong? Because instantly you associate Gojo with this manga, and it's hard to think about it without him. Why? Because he's the one character that just made this whole manga stand out and made it different. Everybody was talking about him. He was a pop culture icon within the anime field. Super memorable, memeable, all of that. And if you think about it, most big shonen out there got somebody like him. But what about Tougen Anki? Tougen Anki is missing exactly that. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a character that's him, but Tougen Anki is just playing it safe. Right now, we don't see anybody that's just extremely OP or extremely conniving. So far, there's just been no breakout moment or no moment at all where you just want to be like, oh shit, and send it to one of your homies. It's just missing that one thing that pushes it over the edge. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm actually a fan of Tougen Anki, and I'm looking forward to watching every new episode that comes out and reading every single volume that comes out. But I'm hoping that in the future it starts taking some risks, because I think it's holding it back from being just another good manga or anime to being something great. But what do y'all think? If you're caught up, do you think it's worth sticking through? And if you're watching the anime, are you liking it so far? Because to me, I'm still enjoying it and I'm still looking forward to watching it every week. We're 20 chapters in, and I'm still asking one question. Why should I even care if Jim Godspeed wins anything? Welcome to episode 3 of the Weebstrong FIles, where we keep it real about anime, manga, or anything in between. Man, I thought the Marshal King was going to be the next big thing. Turns out, I was hell wrong. But let's start off with the obvious. The artwork is insanely good. This dude was the guy from Dr. Stone, and I'm sure you all know that by now. Boichi knows how to draw. That dude knows how to make things look sexy as hell. But let's just be honest. Artwork can't carry everything. Even though the Marshal King looks better than 90% of the manga out there right now, it's still not enough. Because here's the problem, and it's a big one. The story, it just doesn't flow. Like at all. You see, the story started off hot. We got the son of a legendary outlaw just trying to make a name for himself by doing something completely opposite of his father, becoming a marshal. But the more you read this manga, the more you feel like it's forgetting its own premise. You see, one of the problems here is that this manga loses its uniqueness pretty quickly. It becomes another just shonen classroom type of thing real fast. And the main character, our boy Jimmy, the dude is just OP from the start and there's no explanation. But let's be real, that's really not atypical. It's actually really common, and I don't really mind an OP main character. But the thing is, you have to give me a reason to like him. You have to give me something more than just him being a strong dude. Where's the backstory? Where's the emotional connection? Are we just trying to sit here and watch cool stuff happen? Is this solo leveling? Just playing. But yeah, man, I feel like this manga, it had some potential, and it still might meet it. I'm not sure. I'll give it some more time. The world that they're building is pretty interesting, and honestly, the side characters are actually more intriguing to me than Jimmy. But right now, it does seem like it's a lot of fun, and that's about it. If you're looking for a fun read, this seems like it'd be a good one for you. But if you're looking for something where you could connect to the main character, maybe even the side characters, and actually get invested in the story, I don't think this is really it. Now, if this manga proves me wrong, I'll admit it later on. I really wanted this to be Boichi's next big thing. But unless something changes soon, it's just gonna be another title that people stop talking about when it's over. Ooh, we got some face stomping? Alright, Tougen Anki, you doing some things right, so we gotta talk about it. Welcome to episode 4 of the Weebstrong FIles, where we just talk about anime, manga, and anything in between. Now today we gotta talk about Tougen Anki in episode 8. Now, first off, I like that they are not softening up anything. They're just letting the violence land, because they should. If you got people like the Oni up in here with blood as their powers, you can't have blood as their powers and not have this thing be violent nor gory. So when I seen Kuina get her face stomped in, yeah, I kind of liked it. Not in that way, you freaks. But what I'm saying is, this anime, it gotta keep doing what it's doing. It gotta play to its strengths here, and violence is definitely one of them. Now, what's good about it is that they don't really care which character executes the violence. I mean, you got Kuina over here with this body. I mean, look, a lot of people will be complaining. I see it. People complain about this anime having too much fan service, but if you kind of look at the manga, you look at the other characters in anime, the artist just tends to draw the female characters that way. I personally don't really think this is fan service. I think the mangaka just had a certain way of drawing these female characters. I mean, you don't really see too much excessive jiggling, do you? But let's get back on track here, because this anime is doing some things right, and one of them is giving the characters backstory. You've seen enough anime out there where there are some characters that seem interesting, but you just find yourself not caring, or they just don't get enough spotlight. In Tougen Anki, I was glad that we could see some of Kiriyami's backstory. I mean, it was kind of weird, this dude just in a random village, small village, and his background was all about dancing. Well, maybe not all about it, but that was a big part of it. And what I'm seeing so far is I'm seeing that people's personalities, their backstory and history ties into their Oni powers. You saw Kuina's with her bloody fists and her devotion, tied to her personality and what she's experienced. Now you see Kiriyami. Dude's Oni powers is directly related to his dancing. It kind of makes me wonder what's up with everyone else. I know we got Shiki and his love for guns, firearms, stuff like that, but we don't really know too much more than that. But what about some other characters? What about Mondano, the dude with the umbrella? Why are his powers related to that? Does he have something against rain? Now I know you manga readers out there probably already know, but me, I'm only reading what's coming out in English, and I'm only watching the anime. So I don't really know if they're ever going to dive deeper into the origins of their powers and how it's tied into their personal history. And it also kind of makes me wonder, are they ever going to get into the Momotaro's powers? Like, how the hell did black bacteria become a thing for them? I mean, regardless if they do or don't, right now, the story is still fun to watch. I'm liking this anime so far, even though I think that they are one step away from being great. So what do y'all think? Did episode 8 make you care more about the characters? Are you just whatever about the anime? Because apparently it's pretty popular in Japan. Kaiju number 8 is over and that ending sucked. So what are we reading next? I got 3 manga for you that all scratch the same itch that Kaiju number 8 gave us, but just in their own way. And honestly, some of these might take what you liked from Kaiju number 8 and just do it a little better. Now first up, we got Toxic Super Beast. If you're a fan of Kaiju or just Godzilla, this is something worth looking into. The premise? You got this genius psychologist who just basically gets thrown into the middle of an island battle. It's humans versus giant monsters, but the thing is, on the human side, what they're using are genetically modified girls. Girls that got DNA mixed with kaiju. So we're not just talking about monsters on the outside, we got monsters on the inside. Kind of like Kaiju number 8. But this manga does differ from Kaiju number 8 in a few different ways, and one of them is not the way I expected. I thought I was going to get some straight up kaiju chaos, just destruction, fights, gore. But that's actually not what we really get here. You're going to get some military tactics, psychology, and you do get some monster battles, but it's not quite the same. And I'll be honest with you, the plot feels a little bit all over the place right now. I thought it was going to be about the battles, but sometimes it's about the psychologist guy and the therapy angle. I mean, his job is just basically to keep these kaiju modified girls in check. So it's definitely a different type of story, but if you're into the psychological aspect of Kaiju number 8, I definitely look into this. But on the flip side, if you're just into this violence and fighting, I got one for you. Next up, we got Wild Strawberry. Now, this one just ended recently, and a lot of people had some mixed feelings about it. I'll just tell you straight up right now, if you're looking for a deep story, a thick plot, then this isn't going to be for you. But if you like that violence, those fights, the gore, then you need to pick this up. The storyline's pretty simple. Japan's been overrun by these parasites called Jinka. They're basically these plant monsters that bloom inside humans. The main characters are these orphan siblings, Kingo and Kayano, and the story kicks off with Kayano blooming, turning into one of the monsters herself. Now the government got this special flower funeral force that just essentially exists to hunt these monsters. And instead of killing her, she manages to survive by planting herself inside her brother Kingo, essentially turning him into somewhat of a hybrid, kind of like Kafka. And this is actually kind of what made the story stand out at first. It felt a lot more personal. But over time, the manga just became more and more about the fights, at least in my opinion. So if you're feeling like you wanted to see more kaiju fights, you wanted to see more battles, and you just appreciate artwork, 100% you got to get up in this one. But fair warning, this manga is going to split some people. Some people are going to say it's just too weird, it's just too much of what we've seen before. And other people are just going to get hooked on from the fights. Me, I was one of them. Personally, I think you should just check this one out and not think too much about it. It's more of a kickback and read whenever you want. Now, I know this last recommendation might sound like a little bit of an oddball, but it kind of makes sense. I'll just put it this way. If you like Tokyo Ghoul, then this one should already be on your radar. Same creator, and you can tell. Yup, you guessed it. I'm talking about Tougen X. Now, this story follows 2 best friends, and the world they live in is full of Chojin, which are basically superhumans who get powers that kind of reflect their inner desires or sometimes even their self-image. Now, I know I said this was kind of an oddball pick, and here's why. This manga doesn't have any kaiju. You're not going to see gigantic battles between monsters. But where I do think it's similar to Kaiju number 8 is that the main characters are similar in a sense. They're kind of just nobodies, average people who end up becoming something super. And what's cool is that both these main characters, they did want to change. They did want something better. They did have some kind of desire deep within them, but they didn't realize it was going to be a superpower. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I kind of thought that these 2 mangas just sort of complemented each other. They had enough overlap where someone would like one or the other, and enough differences to feel like a completely different story. So yeah, Kaiju number 8 is just done and over with, and that ending was kind of sucky, but it's all good. These 3 manga can fill in the gap in their own ways. But who cares what I think? What do you think? What about you? Have you read any of these already? And if you have, drop your take down below. And if you got some other manga that you think a Kaiju number 8 fan would like, let us know. Don't gatekeep. Alright, y'all. Get out there, touch some grass, lift some weights, and do something. Peace.